Hello and welcome to another video with Gel with Mark. In today's video we're going to be doing a bit of a test review on a different brand of gel plate called the Gelelf. This is a Chinese company and I'm interested to see if it stacks up against the normal American brands that we see on the market. So let's gel. Okay, let's get into it. So a while back saw a different YouTuber that I respect was testing out some of these plates by this company Gelelf, and I was quite intrigued to test them out myself. And you know, who doesn't like some freebies? So contacted them, and they were nice enough to send me basically their whole product range. So I got everything from a 3x5 plate all the way up to their 16x20 massive plate. That's always a win-win, and I thought, yeah, it'd be good to check these out. Also got a nice little Baron, paper lining up tool, and these other bits of perspex with some measuring devices on, you know, to put them on, and a quirky little brayer. So all good in that respect. First thing I wanted to try was laser jet image transfers. Now, in the past, I've tried this on my other plates, and I've never been able to get it to work. Gelelf, I think, kind of claim that their plates are really good for this particular technique, and I've tried a few before this on this plate with kind of some success, because I don't really know what I'm doing. It's I had to figure out the amount of paint and blah blah blah. Now this one turned out pretty well. It transferred pretty well. So I had these little rubber stamps as well knocking about, so I thought I'd add a little bit of text. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you probably are quite aware that I'm not particularly that interested in image transfers myself. I tend to like to find an alternative which is more creative and a bit of a challenge. It's kind of just how I am, I think, as an artist sometimes. But that being said, I have got some digital illustrations that I've drawn that are highly detailed, which it would be nice if I did have the option of being able to do a laser jet transfer now and again, to give me a chance to utilise that work as well. So at the moment, this plate looks like it's achievable. So I was just filling it in with my standard way I do gel plate printing, which is adding paint with a brush, and yeah, put it in my little gel plate book that I've got. Left it, I think I left it about half an hour, maybe something like that, and I think that one came out pretty well. I quite like it. It's a bit comic booky. So yeah, so that one, a thumbs up for that one. Ballpoint pen resist next. Again, I don't do this probably as you should. Well, I kind of do, but I push it to the max with what you can try and get. So I tend to fill in quite heavily with the ballpoint, which kind of distorts the paper, but I don't mind that. I kind of embrace that kind of look in the print because it gives you a really unpredictable outcome, and I quite like that. So this is just simply, I had a Procreate drawing that I did. I went over it, then I thought I'd try out their cool little round plate that they gave me, because it's quite nice to change the dimensions, the aspect ratio, I suppose, of your print. So it's just inking up the plate with some acrylic, a thin layer, then rubbing over lightly where the ballpoint is, or around where the ballpoint is. And as you can see there, you get these kind of pockets now. The way I do it, you get like a pocket of kind of weirdness. I don't know how to explain it. It just looks a bit odd. And I just run with that. If I didn't want so much of that, then I would just do more of a straight line drawing and not try and do the shadow, like fill in with the ballpoint. But like I say, I quite like that kind of different look. And again, I just fill in with the acrylic paint with a big brush. put it on pretty liberally. I'm not too fussy about getting it super thin, but that does sometimes cause me a few issues later on with paper that buckles. But I'm trying to work out a way of getting around that. I'm currently thinking of gluing my prints onto like a board to stop the buckling, but that's beside the point. That's going off topic a little bit. So with the hair, I put on a dark layer, and then I'm putting on a lighter tone behind to get some kind of highlights in the hair, and just filling in the last little bits. And I always, if you've seen my videos before, I like to add the paint with a palette knife so I don't get blobs everywhere. I find that looks nicer. I don't get it gets kind of a bit more of a universal covering, and more of a solid colour. And again, then just paper down, and just quick smooth over, and using the free Baron. This is a good little tool. I've been using that quite a lot on some of the bigger prints I've been doing. And then a nice clean pull. These Gelelf plates have a bit more of a grip. They hold on to the paper quite a bit more than the other ones that I use. And there you go, that's another win for the Gelelf. Biro Resist works well as well. Now we're doing a soft pastel transfer. Now, again, I found like this old, what I'm believing is an old kind of film portrait still image, maybe from like an old 1940s horror film or something, The Invisible Man, maybe. I'm just guessing at that, I don't know. I think I found it on Pinterest. I just like printed it off. Then I just got these nice chalk pastels, filling in the darker tones and the lighter tones in a varying monochromatic kind of colour choice. Fairly liberal with the amount of pastel that I'm putting on. And then I got out, I think this is the 8x10 plate, giving it a bit of a nice rub over with the Baron, make sure we've got good contact, and that has come out nice and sharp, that's come out nice and clean. It properly grabbed all of that pastel dust, really nice. Then I've got this nice little stencil. I'm not that big on stencils either, but like polka dots are hard to cut out, hand polka dots, and I found this big one somewhere, and I've been using it quite a lot, so quite like that. Then just got a bit of gel medium on this one, because I had kind of this funky little bit of brown paper. It was basically a sticker, big A4 sticker, and I needed the sticker backing paper from it to do something else, and I thought, I'll just use that, and that came out quite nice. I quite like that, quite like the tonal variation with that. So now we're going big. This one, I proper put it to the test. The charcoal image transfer is one of my favourite transfers to do, and so I used the same image that I was using on the LaserJet image transfer. I lightly traced the outline where I knew everything was, and then I filled it in with the charcoal, going by the original drawing as reference. Filled it in with charcoal a lot, gave it a bit of a smudge over to get some tone, then hit into it with a bit of a putty rubber to bring out some highlights. After I'd done that, then I reworked back into it a bit more tonal variation with a bit more willow charcoal. So yeah, this one took a little bit of a while. This took a while, and normally on this type of method, I generally have been using tracing paper, but on this one, I thought I would use paper, because sometimes on the tracing paper, you can't add too much more charcoal. You get to a point and then it just doesn't add more. So I thought if I do on paper, I might be able to get a bit more tonal variation. So that's the picture done. Straight onto the massive gel plate. This one, got the barren out, give it a good rub over to get contact everywhere, and the transfer came out nice. The only thing I'd say was different on this compared to my other plates was when I did touch the charcoal, a little bit came off on my finger. So I had this Cobra clear lacquer. It's like an acrylic clear lacquer, and I just thought I'd fix it just to be safe, because I didn't want the charcoal to bleed into the actual image. So yes, so now that's been fixed again, and then I put a bit of a acetate kind of stencil on top, because I didn't want this stencil paint part to go onto the main figure, more of a half background. So I had this stenciling brush in my kit, got this bad boy out, filled in all the polka dots with a nice yellow, because I'm doing quite a muted tone on this image, so that came out well. Get rid of the so then I kept the acetate on to do the background. Again, I didn't want any of this going on the actual figure, and this is quite an easy way of making sure. It's just putting a mask down, you don't run the risk of it going on your image. So now that's done, I just thought I'd then start filling it in with brushes. His jumper here, I quite like the blended kind of marks, soft marks, so I thought just a white background underneath, if that makes sense, because obviously you're working in reverse a lot of the time, all of the time, the way I do it. I thought the white would just make those marks show up nicely on the finished piece. And then the hair, just went brown. Why not? It's just a standard colour hair, isn't it, really? I think I did a double layer on this. I went dark again, and then I went lighter again on top. Did I? Let's have a look, see how it goes on the video. Maybe not, maybe I just made that up. So, then filling in the eyes. Got to get those details in first. Always get the details in. Then I had some of this. I got given this at Christmas by my father-in-law, some fluid paints. So this is quite a nice bright orange. I was like, yeah, I'd do some. And saying that, when I did it, I was like, that looks cool just like that, just with those spots. I love it. But I was more thinking I'm just going to do some drips. So I was placing these dots of paint about, thinking, how could I do this? See how loose it is. Then, just lift it up, see how it runs. And it is pretty fluid, this paint. With this technique, though, once you get to this stage, once you've done the fluid drips, you pretty much have just got to leave it to dry, and I generally then leave it for 24 hours to dry. Wasn't quite dripping as I wanted, so I thought, I'll get a straw out, see if I can blow it, but it didn't really work that well. But then I wanted to preserve that kind of bright tone, bright opacity of the orange, so I backed this with more white, hoping that will just make that pop on the finished print, because it's quite a transparent paint, this one. So yeah, that's how I work. So once that's done, then it's kind of blocking in the face, and I just wanted it quite muted, really. So I just went for like a warm. This is termed as a warm grey, but it's more of a beige tone, because I wanted those bright drips to pop on the finished print. So it's just a case of just filling that one in and covering all of the figure really. And again, I'm a stickler for real flat backgrounds in parts of my image. I don't like I normally do quite a lot of double layers, just so I don't have these problems of a little bit see-through in places. And then after we've put all the layer of paint on, we just get out the brayer and make a nice smooth even coat of acrylic ready for the paper to go down. That went down. This is like a poster board, which is it's like two types of, it's paper on both sides, front and back, and then it's got like a little 2mm cardboard inside piece. Anyway, you can do artwork on both sides of the board. I get it from Sea Whites in the UK. I'm not sure if you can get it in the US. I guess you just have to search and see. Now, this print was pulling off fairly well. I had a few snags coming up, but I realised that I must have stopped the recording, or it stopped on its own, because it abruptly stops in a minute, and there's nothing I can do about that, so sorry. So there you go, the Gelelf. Conclusion, yeah, I reckon it can stand up against the American brands, the ones I've used anyway. It pretty much handled everything I threw at it. The only thing that it couldn't do was deal with Posca paint pens, but that could be due to the fact that the plates that I've got are all pretty new, so maybe they need a bit more breaking in. If that's the case, then they might work fine. Maybe later on down the line, if I find this the case, I might do another video to update it. But apologies for the lack of recording the reveal to my last big print, but you know, I think it came out pretty well. Had a bit of a snag, but you know, these things happen. Sometimes you just got to accept these imperfections. I think I might do a bit more to this print at some point. We'll see. So yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you next time.